Yo, what's going on, guys? So, we have a new trailer for Ghost of Yotei with the release date, which is slated for October the 2nd of this year. And I'm actually kind of surprised because they just dropped it out of the blue. And I was expecting them to maybe do something next month there's a rumored PlayStation showcase next month. And so that's what I was expecting. So this was completely out of the blue for me. But I just wanted to go over it real quick. I've been rewatching it, kind of noticing a few things. So let's get into it. So yeah, here, I'm not sure if this is supposed to be just them showing the ghost mask, or there's some significance in the story, like that's the moment she finds it. But yeah, curious to know. Then this is same thing that we see in the first trailer for the announcement. We see her wiping the blood of one of her victims, or people on their list. So this is the snake guy, I guess. And you can see that I read the post on the PlayStation blog, but it does say that she's coming back for revenge using the same katana with which she was left for dead. And I was going to point out before I saw that you can actually... So this guy actually... Let's go back real quick. This fox guy, one thing that struck me is how the armor resembles the ghost armor a lot. So I'm wondering if there's a connection between this character and some sort of shinobi clan that might have stemmed from Jin's shenanigans in the first game. So be curious to see if there's a connection. Maybe not. Maybe it's just aesthetically similar for no reason, but I did notice a similarity. And one other thing that I kind of think might be a way for you to get access to different weapons is by defeating these enemies. So this guy has a kusarigama. You can see that Atsu doesn't have a kusarigama yet, so maybe that's one of the things that it's gonna be like a main mechanic, where in the main game you kind of just unlocked. In the main game, in Ghost of Tsushima, you just unlocked different weapons from the skill tree, and you didn't really get weapons from enemies. So be interested to see what this if this is a new mechanic. But yeah, so here she's with that strip, kind of naming off. So now we see who everyone is on our list, and it makes sense. I do have a breakdown trailer. So this is what I was going to say over here. And this seems to have been some sort of maybe family friend or mentor for her, because he's expressing regret that it has to come to this. So, and right there, if you pause it, you can see that the blade is the same. It has the same ridges and the same pattern along the blade side. And this is her. Clearly a grave for somebody that was killed. And one other thing that I noticed is here, if we stop real quick and look at the hilt on her second katana, you can see that it's different. And I don't know if this is just, it just means that it's a different cosmetic look for the katana, or that it's actually a different katana with different properties. Because if we look, this seems to have some sort of wing pattern, maybe like a crane or something. But if we look at the announced trailer, and then the guy that she's about to execute, he's got her wanted poster pinned onto some boards. It's like a wall. And then you can see that there's a snake katana. And I thought that this guy was a snake, but it turns out that it's the guy on the new trailer. Or maybe they're showing this when it's not really connected to this particular scene. It's just showing the wanted poster and the katana, pinning it onto the wall. And this is where the wolf... So the guy calls her in English, he calls her Little Wolf. But in Japanese, I believe he calls her Okami no Hime, which Okami is wolf and no is of. And Hime, if I looked it up and it seems like it's princess. So wolf of princess? I don't know if that's correct. Maybe I misheard what he says, but seems to have some sort of endearing term for her. And the fact that, there's this theme of wolves, with him having a katana with wolves at the hilt. And then she kind of uses that as a revenge instrument. And maybe he gave her that nickname, and maybe that's how the whole connection with wolves comes about. But yeah, so this is really cool. This is something that my friend Potato was pointing out, is that, representation for the Ainu tribe. So this lady is wearing their makeup. It all seems to be very accurate. And of course, we see some gorgeous vistas of Japan. This is something that I kind of got me curious. At first, I thought that it was Hawacha, like the first time that I saw the trailer. But this is just like a single arrow. And then you can see, the reason that I thought it was Hawacha is because the glow, that you can see sort of follow the arrow's path on the ground. It resembles the circles that you would get from Hawacha in Ghost of Tsushima. So it's kind of, I don't know, I feel like the glow is a little bit exaggerated. So maybe it's like a gameplay element so that you can see where the path is or something, because this does not seem realistic. So it's maybe just like a visual cue for that specific arrow. And then you can see her here with some sort of ally. As this bridge is getting blown up. Then here, interesting, which is cool because we hadn't seen any combat referencing the spear, but it's cool that we're now going to get access to spears, obviously, from this, so that's cool. And then we see the Kusarigama a little bit in action here, which kind of reminds me, that's one of the things that I was like, yikes, it's going to be interesting to see how they compare, Ghost of Yotei and Shadows, because they use the Kusarigama as well. And it's a very similar story if you think about the fact that we don't see how many of her family's members they kill, because in Shadows it's just her dad, and it's very similar. It's a bunch of guys with Japanese masks, and they all kind of have a nickname, and I'm pretty sure one of them is also a fox, a kitsune. So yeah, I'm sure that the Sucker Punch was quite annoyed when Shadows dropped and they had all these ideas implemented before they did, or before their game was released. Arguable who came up with the ideas first. But yeah, story wise seems pretty cliche, be honest. Just the fact that it's, the whole revenge tale, I feel like it's kind of, it's kind of been done a lot. So I was hoping for a more original story. But I'm still open to see what happens. I'm sure that it's going to be an improvement. One thing that I did want to remark on was the fact that the game looks gorgeous, but also just the facial animations, they look unreal. That was one of the things that was kind of a gripe I had with Ghost of Tsushima, that the quality of the facial animations seemed... the game looks really, really good for a PS4 game, but especially when they finally gave us Japanese lip sync, and then it was just very minimal, you could barely just see them vaguely, doing movements that would vaguely resemble what you were hearing. But I don't know, we'll see. But it does seem like they've upped their game, and I watched both the English and the Japanese trailer, and yeah, they both look really good as far as the animations that we've seen so far for cutscenes and such. Another cool thing here is the enemy that she's fighting seems to be a member of some sort of masked bandit faction. And you can see this other guy behind. He's wielding some sort of dual sickle weapon that has Way of the Flame going on. So it's pretty interesting. I'm curious to see what these guys are about. And then this seems to be like a standard samurai. As you can see here, there's the return of the shrine, the climbing puzzles. You can see there's the slack line here. And then in the distance, you can see the Torii Gate, and then you can see the shrine at the top of the mountain. So definitely going to have that again. And then in this next sequence, this actually kind of reminds me of Uncharted 4. There were quite a few parts of the game where you were sliding down a very steep surface, and then you would have to grapple to kind of not fall into the precipice. So that seems to be the case here. And if you pause here, you can see that the little red and white ribbons that would indicate where you can use the grapple hook. So that's clearly what's going on here as part of this environmental puzzle. And then you can see the shrine up there. Kind of that's where she's going. This is also part of a shrine environmental puzzle, climbing puzzle or whatever. And then here you can see that the grapple hook is literally the exact same grapple hook from Ghost of Tsushima. It's right there, clear as day. And then the rope physics seem to be pretty identical. They're probably the same, so that's cool because I always like the rope physics. And then we can see the wolf here attacking someone. So that's cool to know that he will actually be used in combat. Or I don't know if that's a cutscene, but it did look like gameplay to me. And then we can see some dual katana gameplay here, which is always cool. We got a little bit of that from the first trailer, but you can see a little bit more of the stances here. And then you can also see that the return of the half bow. So we're at least, I don't know if we're gonna get a long bow, but at least we're gonna get a half bow. You can see that clearly there on her back. It's really cool how she kind of rests the katana on her shoulder once she finishes up the guy. And then this is something that they mentioned on the PlayStation blog post. So right here we can see that she goes, it's like a new game mechanic, she goes into this memory. And on the blog post, what does it say? It says, yeah, so in Ghost of Yotei, we've built upon and evolved the way you explore the open world, offering even more freedom and variety than in Ghost of Tsushima. You'll choose which leads to follow as you pick which Yotei 6 member you want to hunt down first. Atsu can also track other dangerous targets and claim bounties, or seek out weapons sensei to learn new skills. Eizo is wild and as deadly as it is beautiful. As you trek across the open world, you'll find unexpected dangers and peaceful reprieves, including some returning activities from Ghost of Tsushima. And you'll be able to campfire anywhere in the open world for a rest under the stars. Kind of reminds me of Dragon's Dogma 2. You're able to do that. We want you to have the freedom to explore Eizo, however you decide to. Can't wait to share more. Beyond your first look at the Yotei 6, you'll spot some of the gorgeous scenery of Eizo, as well as a handful of Atsu's new weapons, a few of her allies, and even a new gameplay mechanic that will allow you to glimpse Atsu's past and understand everything that was taken from her. Which that's kind of cool, I guess, as far as them showing flashbacks, like at specific points. I guess this gives you a little bit more control if it's something that you can activate in any order you're exploring the world, and then kind of see what happened, her memories. It seems more organic, so that seems like an improvement. And of course, they're gonna have the guiding wind. You can see that in the original trailer. I did see, what was this? The pre-order content. You get a new mask, which is like a half mask with some wolves. Looks kind of cool. And you get the Yotei avatar plus Atsu and Yotei 6 avatar set, which is actually looks cool. You get a little bit of a closer look at the Kitsune armor, which does look a little bit different from the ghost armor here. The overall shape still looks the same, but if you see, like, upon closer look, you can see a little bit more detail, and it does look different. But yeah, and then we can see the what's this guy? The Oni, which we also saw him at the end of the first trailer. So that's cool. There was another, I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it, but yeah, they have digital deluxe editions. And then there's the collector's edition with like the actual mask. Oh, and they have that's sick. So they have the hilt with the wolves for the katana. That's cool. Papercraft ginkgo tree. Zeni Hajiki coin game pouch. Game and pouch. Art cards. You get the sash with the names. That's pretty cool. I'm sure that there's going to be a crazy limited edition one with more stuff, maybe like an actual katana. But this will be $250. I don't know if I care that much, to be honest, to get just some random knickknacks, but they seem cool. I might do so here's the thing, if they make some of this digital deluxe content just available later in the game, then it's whatever. There's no reason. But apparently, from what you can see here, you can get the armor from the different enemies that you defeat, and that would make sense if my theory of you collecting their weapons turns out to be correct. Because yeah, you can see the snake armor here. And a charm, so that confirms that the shrines will, I mean, not 100% sure, but the existence of the shrines kind of alluded to them keeping the charm system that they had in the original game. So, yeah, sword kit, digital deluxe horse and saddle, and traveler's maps. So early unlock. So this actually makes me think that these are digital deluxe content exclusives, and then this one, the traveler's maps, is an early unlock, so maybe you won't get access to any of these items unless you buy the digital deluxe, which is kind of cool, honestly. The only time that it bums me out is when I don't know about a game that I end up liking, and then it's like a pre-order bonus that you can't get any other way, so that's always a bummer. But it is what it is. At least make them available for sale at some point. But yeah, so that was the Onryo's List trailer, and I'm actually pretty stoked. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and I will catch you next time.